Hello, listeners. It's been a long time since we've spoken. I hope you are doing well during this quarantine. I must say, with the stay-at-home order, it's been easier to find new listeners. Tonight is a special night. It is the start of the week-long 5 Nights of Fright, as told by your lovely host, the Teller. Every night at 11 p.m., an all-new tale will premiere. So make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you've told your friends, your family, the people you love the most, because you never know just how close these stories can hit home. So sit back and get ready. You're in for a real thrill ride. The Tale of the Wooden Staircase. There was an old apartment building in Detroit that was 7 stories high. The apartments were very small and decrepit, and the building had no elevator. There was only a large, dilapidated wooden staircase that spanned 7 flights of stairs. Each one had 7 steps. On the first floor of the building, there was a 1-room apartment directly opposite the staircase. The landlord who owned it had a hard time finding tenants to stay in the apartment. Whenever he managed to rent it out, the tenant would suddenly leave without ever giving an explanation. Every tenant left less than 1 week after renting the room. Then, one day, a young man came to look at the vacant apartment. He was a college student and didn't have very much money. The apartment was very small, but the landlord was asking for very low rent. The man decided to take the apartment and moved his belongings in a few days later. The first day that the young man spent in the apartment was a Monday. During the night, he was aroused from his slumber by a very eerie and strange-like noise. It sounded almost like a child's voice echoing in the staircase near his front door. "I have reached the first step on the wooden staircase," said the voice. "What is a child doing out of bed at this time of night?" the man wondered to himself. However, he was tired from transporting his belongings and decided to just go back to sleep. The next night, he was again awakened by the same voice calling out, "2 steps on the wooden staircase have I climbed." On Wednesday night, the voice cried, "3 steps on the wooden staircase have I climbed." The man jumped out of bed and ran to the front door. When he opened the door and looked out, he saw that the staircase was empty. An unnerving thought crossed his mind. Could it be possible that the staircase is haunted? And so it went on the same way on the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th day. Every night, the man heard the child's voice calling out. Each time, it seemed to get closer and closer and closer. Sunday night finally arrived, and the man was trembling in his bed. He thought about moving out, but he told himself that he must be brave. He refused to allow himself to be scared off by some ghostly voice. But in the middle of the night, he woke to hear something scratching at his door. A voice cried out, "I have reached the 7th step on the staircase." A shiver ran down the man's spine as he heard his locked front door swing open. The next morning, the landlord arrived to collect the rent. When he knocked on the apartment door, there was no answer. Suspicious about the whole situation, he took out his spare key and let himself in. Sprawled across the bed, he found the tenant's mangled body. His face bore an expression of unimaginable fear. The police came and examined the body, but no cause of death could be determined. It seemed as if the man had been scared to death. To this day, the apartment stays vacant, awaiting its new tenant. Over the years, all of the previous residents had fled before the week was through. They all say they left because they feared what might happen when the voice reached the 7th step. There are only 2 people who know the answer: the dead man and the unspeakable thing that climbs the wooden staircase every night. Well, looks like that man should have been a little more aware of his surroundings during quarantine. That's it for tonight, ladies and germs. But make sure you come back tomorrow, the same time, and join us for another eerie tale from the darkness. Sweet dreams, listeners.